You're looking at the president and the vice president of the fan club for Scott Larson. Hold on to your pencils with all your questions. You're about to watch the hashtag truth with Scott Larson. Don't miss a minute.
Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to come see some of the best wrestling in the Carolinas? Well, look no further than HWA Live. Stars such as Brino Royce, Primal Rage, Chase Loveless and Chris Hambrick, Brian Thrill, The Wranglers, and Chris Thunder Anderson, and many, many more. Come check out HWA Live. HWA Live has shows every 2 weeks at the Gilkey Community Center, 217 Gilkey School Road, Rutherfordton, North Carolina. Message HWA Live on Facebook for all ticket information. HWA Live will sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Oh yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to hashtag truth. Tonight we have the one, the only, drop down and give me 30, Codename FLX. How you doing, sir?
Reporting for duty, sir. Happy to be here.
That's going to be my first question right off the bat. Sir, have you done any military?
Still currently serving, sir. 13 years strong in the United States Army.
Thank you very much for all you do for us, brother. I appreciate that, man. I did 4 years in the U.S. Navy, so that I did my time and got out. That's the way I like to put it politely. You know what I'm saying?
Make it a career. Didn't want to be a lifer.
Well, I wanted to, but Uncle Sam had we won't name the president, decided to downgrade the military at that time, and the way he did it was kind of stupid. I'll say that because I'm allowed to. I would have been a lifer, but the way he did it was on our fleet. In our fleet, he couldn't decide who to get rid of. So what he did was he drew 3 numbers out of a bowl from 0 to 9. And if your last digit of your social security number was one of the 3 numbers he pulled, you automatically had to get out of the military. You had no choice in the matter. As a matter of fact, my re-up papers were being signed as I got told you can no longer be in the military. You're done. When we pull into shore, you are done. There's nothing you can do about it.
That's one way to do things.
So, yeah. I won't name the president because I'm over it now. But yeah, that's how it happened. And I ended up walking off the USS Saratoga the last time the USS Saratoga went out, and I was so mad I threw my green bag right into the garbage as I walked out. I regret it now because I've got kids that could have saw my uniform, all my stuff, but I was mad. I was terribly mad. But we're not here to talk about my stuff. We're here to talk about Codename FLX. So how'd you get it? How'd you go from military to wrestling? I mean, that's a big difference, man. Who got you into wrestling?
So as a child, I remember weekly rendezvous with my cousin that we would watch Monday Night Raw. We'd watch SmackDown together, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was always a big star at the time, and just watching him stick it to the man. Because back then everybody that ever wanted to punch their boss in the face and get away with it, they got to live vicariously through Stone Cold. Right. And I just thought he was larger than life. I thought he was the coolest thing ever. And so I was just like, yo, I don't know what this is, but this is amazing. And I love this. And I just want to keep watching this. And, they say the rest is history. That's what fueled the passion. Because one of the things stories my mother used to remind me of is when I was a kid, I would there was one day she was washing dishes and I came up and hugged her leg and she looked up, and this was during a commercial break of Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
She told me that I looked up into her eyes and I said, "Mommy, I'm going to be on TV one day." So
Oh, there you go. That's
where
what
it
I'm
all
talking
began.
about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. See, I love stories like that. That's what hashtag truth right there is all about. Those stories, because that is totally cool. So, was it easy for you when you came into wrestling and you started training and you started doing things and you were thinking of a character? Was it easy to just go straight, since you're in the military, go straight to a military character, or did you need to be talked into that?
So believe it or not, I didn't actually embrace my who I am as a soldier until just this last year and a half.
Okay.
So, being in the intel world, I'm an intelligence analyst in the military. So,
Okay.
an easy way you can think about it, if you watch your favorite spy show, that's intelligence. At the
Right.
root of it, you could say I'm a spy. And what do spies do? They go undercover. They have multiple identities. So,
Right.
the first ever identity that I assumed in wrestling was actually a male cheerleader.
Okay. Now you got my interest peaked totally.
So at the time, I was when I first started wrestling training, I was actually in college and I was a male
Right.
cheerleader. So I was the guy doing the partner stunting, throwing the girls up in the air, catching them, and different things like that.
Nice.
So at the time, I assumed the identity of Johnny Fools, and
Okay.
my idea behind it was I was wrestling's only male cheerleader that didn't need a squad. In case you pick up the reference there.
I got you. Because I was about to say, Dolph Ziggler started off as a male cheerleader, but he had a whole squad with him.
Yeah. So I like to think of myself as I was going to be the one that didn't need the squad.
I
And
got
so that's where that story began. And that really allowed me to get my bearings in the ring, so to speak. That helped me get more comfortable in the ring, helped me, be more present amongst the crowd and actually be able to think more, while I'm taking on my opponents. And that would evolve into my next cover identity, Flex Simmons. So at the time, this was when I graduated college. I, in the civilian world, was working under a cover identity as a gym fitness manager and personal trainer. And
Okay.
so, and before anybody asks, why do I have all these cover identities? Well, I never want anybody to know my true identity,
Right.
because then that's where it gets dangerous. That's where you get
Right.
caught. That's where you get
Right.
taken advantage of. People can find your family, different things like that. So the more identities, the better, because it's harder to trace.
I got you.
But
Now you said you were actually a male cheerleader, and you're in the Army, correct?
correct.
Now, please tell me you did an Army-Navy game. Please tell me.
As much as I would love to sit here and tell you I did, I never did. No.
Oh
It's-
man,
it's still on the bucket list.
we're gonna circle it right back to wrestling, but man, that's my thing every year. I've got a bunch of buddies who are Army buddies, and one year we did the Army-Navy game. We decided that our rivalry was so big and both teams were going to win so badly that every time a team scored a point, we had to do push-ups.
Yep.
Yeah, we picked the year that Army-Navy broke the record for scoring in that game. The next day, we both worked at the same place. I couldn't even raise my arms up above my shoulders going to work. Neither one of us could. But yeah, big time rivalry. So you're doing all these different names and going under and doing all that. Now, did you have to inform the people that were training you, hey, this is why I'm doing this. This is why we're changing things up all the time, or was it just a wrestling thing?
So, as we know in wrestling, you want to have your identity over with the fans. You want something that the fans can buy into. You want something that the fans can, when they watch it, it's easily to grab on and follow. And while Johnny Fools, the cheerleader, was great, high energy, great baby face energy, mentality, great to start off. It wasn't something long term to fulfill what I wanted out of the end goal. And that's
Right.
obviously to get over, make my way into a bigger company.
Right.
So Flex Simmons evolved with the influence of my wrestling trainers. I
Okay.
started at Ring Wars Carolina with Nightstick Eddie Brown.
Very
Um,
good.
and he's done a lot for me for my career. Great mind for the business.
Very much so. I had the privilege of interviewing him a couple years ago, right outside of his training facility there, and it's amazing. The man has a great mind for wrestling, and seeing you, and I've interviewed 3 or 4 of his guys in the last month.
Yep.
Very well, very, very good guy to train under, man. I've got nothing bad to say about Nightstick Eddie Brown. He is one of the best, man. One of the best.
I would agree. He's definitely done a lot for me, and I'm very grateful for him. So that he was a big part of me transitioning over into Flex, because at the time I was developing a good amount of strength and I had a good amount of muscle size to me. And he told me, he's like, hey, he's like, why don't you do something more fitness related? He's like, you don't even have to. He's like, this is something that you could use to go after people, be a bigger threat, antagonize the crowd. And so at the time I made the thought of, I was going to call myself the greatest physique in professional wrestling. But the irony of it was I wasn't necessarily a Chris Masters or a Tony Atlas, but I was at least muscular enough to where you could look at me and see, okay, I don't feel
You
like
could tell he's been in the gym a couple of times, but he doesn't live in the gym.
exactly. So it was propaganda, right? So
Right.
the goal was to convince people that I genuinely believed that when I looked in the mirror, I had a shredded 8-pack, that I was going to step on the Olympia stage and take home the gold and not even train for it. And it did just that. I had a good run. I was a 2-time Ring Wars Carolina heavyweight champion.
Nice.
And my first ever championship, the Ring Wars Carolina No Limits Championship. And I probably, as far as being what I considered a rookie at the time, was probably one of the biggest runs that I had had to date. And I was feeling like I was on top of the world, which would actually end up being capped off with making some connections through Nightstick Eddie Brown. And I ended up having a tryout with Ring of Honor in 2018. And I was selected as one of the first classes of the new Ring of Honor dojo that was in Baltimore, Maryland.
Nice. Very good. That is awesome. Now, I do, again, the military thing has just got me spinning. But now I've been in the military. I was a sports guy before. I'm 500 pounds now, but when I was in the military, I was 160 pounds, could do 200 push-ups without even thinking about it. Physically fit, the whole 9 yards, mind, body, the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, but choice.
But the military always told you from day one, when you come into the military, give your heart and soul to mama, but you belong to me.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ever scared of getting injured while you're in the wrestling ring, or do you stay away from certain matches because of your being in the military? Because if you come back with a bunch of bruises and bumps, people gonna start asking questions.
So it 1000% is absolutely something that always factors in, right? As of right now, without being signed to a bigger company, I limit my risk in the ring. So you're going to very rarely see me coming off the top rope. You're very rarely going to see me doing dives. Anything that is going to elevate my risk, I'm probably not going to do it. And it's not because I have a pretentious attitude towards it. It's exactly what you said, because there's an understanding that, hey, yeah, we're okay if you do this, but if it starts affecting your readiness as a soldier and you can't do a PT test, or
you can't perform your duties, I mean, that you're going to get in a lot of trouble.
Exactly. And then that's when it's going to be like, okay, hey, we're not allowing you to travel for this anymore, because both of the units that I've been in, I've actually done a good job of maintaining my performance, making sure I'm a good NCO for my guys, looking out for them, making sure they're squared away, and keeping up with my own stuff. So that way I can build good rapport with leadership. So that way, when I say, hey, I'm booked here this weekend, is it okay if I cut out a little early to make it? It's easier for them to say yes, because I'm doing my part. But again, that comes with that trust of, okay,
Right.
we're going to let you do this, but you can't shoot us in the back and get hurt.
Right. I got you. That makes total sense. Now, I've got one more question, then I'm going to do a few things for my sponsors. Let's go ahead. We got a couple of people that were talking. Mitchell, thank you for coming on YouTube, but my Brewers are in first place. You better go check the standings. It's way early in the season, but we're 5-1 in first place. So have a nice day. He's a San Francisco fan. Poor kid.
Oh, man.
Sean Duffy said hello and good evening from Fallen, Nevada.
Hello,
Mr.
Sean.
Sean Duffy,
Thank you
man.
for
He's
tuning
one of
in.
my biggest fans. He's been here forever, all the way over on the East Coast. He's gotten me a bunch of great interviews over there. I love you, Sean. Thank you. Welcome to Hashtag Truth Tonight, buddy. Now, what happened to your mic? There it went.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
don't worry. If
I
you
was
see me
like,
go
whoa,
mute,
wait a minute. I looked down and it said your mic went off. I was like, oh, no, not now.
no.
But-
If you see me go mute, it's because I'm having to discipline the dog that I told you about.
I got you. We had that conversation before the show. It's all good, man. It's all good.
He's in training right now, but he's actually doing a really good job.
Great. All right, last military question, and then everything else is gonna be about wrestling, I promise. Codename FLX, the name you come out to right now. Now, you just told me you were intelligence, so is that basically doing a little loop-de-loo with your intelligence thing, being Codename FLX?
Yes. So that's essentially the idea. Like I said, being in the intelligence world, essentially I am a spy, I transitioned from Flex Simmons, but I wanted to not necessarily give up the name, but I definitely wanted to get away from who I was. So, for example, I recently wrestled a match at Extreme World Wrestling out in Monroe, North Carolina, against Christopher Prince. And if you listen back to the commentary, at first I'm not introduced, but I'm spoken of on commentary as Flex Simmons. And they received my intel report that this is Codename Flex. Last time I was at XWW before, I was wrestling under the identity of Flex Simmons, so that way I could infiltrate and get in. That way, when I came back later as a better version of myself, I'm ready to go and I'm ready to make a bigger impact.
I love that. That is so cool, because that is, I mean, to a regular fan, and I'm just going to say this, if you're a regular fan, never been in the military, I'm not downing you, but to a regular fan, that's like, oh, great, nice story. But to a military man like me, I'm like, man, that is well thought out. I love to hear that. It just blows my mind that, and you don't say, I went to see about joining a company. No, I infiltrated the company.
Exactly.
And they had no choice. And then once they figured out who I was, I'm Codename FLX from then on. I love that, bro. That is beautiful.
Exactly.
That is beautiful. Now, have you had anybody who's went against Codename FLX or this gimmick? Have you had any of the promoters say, well, you're okay as this, but we see you as this. Would you come back and wrestle as, something else? What would you say to that?
I think because this is authentically who I am, I think it's way easier to digest, because there's nothing about me from the time that I army crawl out of the curtain to when I do my airborne landing off the top rope to the way I wrestle. There's nothing about anything I do that makes you think, I can't get behind this.
So everything's military. The names
Everything.
of your moves, what you do I mean, that's amazing. I love that.
My demeanor, my entrance, everything I do, because it's who I am. And case in point, this is actually something in my wrestling career that was very, what's the word? I'm going to use humbling because I can't think of another word. Was humbling to realize that once I started doing this, I've noticed that I'm getting more buy-ins from fans automatically, because Case in point at XWW, for example, and even the week after that, when I wrestled at another new venue in South Carolina, both times, neither of those companies knew who I was as Codename FLX. But literally, I army crawled from behind the curtain. I took a knee and I was looking around. People were already standing up cheering for me. No idea who I am. And I think that's powerful, because when they see somebody that they feel like they can believe in,
Right.
now it's my job to make sure I show them that I am someone you can believe in. And I'm going to make sure I take your buy-in and pay dividends with it.
Awesome, man. I'll tell you, speak of the devil, here's Mr. Jonathan Darwin, the man who hooked me up with Mr. Codename FLX. Thank you, Jonathan. He said to me, I thought of Codename FLX as a G.I. Joe thing. Example, Conrad S. Hauser, Codename Duke.
I think that's actually a great way to think about it. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the show Burn Notice, but I'm a big Michael Weston fan.
Okay.
So I tend to study him a lot.
Joseph Burns chimed in with a great question. He said, how do you balance your gym workouts, fitness training for the military, and pro wrestling training?
So that's where previous cover identities come into play, right? So, being a personal trainer in my life means that I've studied and I have the knowledge for it. So it's all about just balancing what I need out of each thing. So, for example, I have 2 wrestling training sessions a week. I have 2 powerlifting days, so that way I can maintain and try to build strength. And then I have 1 to 2 other days where it's more full body workouts just for overall muscle building and aesthetics. And I throw in run 1 or 2 times a week. And it's all about just making sure that you recover well, because if you're always constantly abusing your body and you don't let the battery recharge, you're not going to be good for anything.
That is very true. Very true. And if you don't keep up with the schedule, you end up like me, 500 pounds, sitting in a chair, doing a podcast somewhere. So I'm not.
Oh, stop it.
I've got a few other questions. I know they do too. I'm going to get to my sponsors real quick. I'm going to do a few of them now, and we're going to sprinkle them in during the show. So let's go ahead and get some of these posters out there. Ladies and gentlemen, Pro Wrestling Union, April 29th. Is having their junior heavyweight championship tournament. 8 men are biting for the first ever junior heavyweight championship. It's going to be at the Union County Recreation Center, 115 Thomas Street, Union, South Carolina. General admission, $10. Student tickets are $5. Kids 5 years and under get in for free. Doors open 6 o'clock. Bell time is 7. And we've also got a in the near future in this show, we're going to play a promo from somebody that has to do with Pro Wrestling Union. So we're going to have a good time watching that, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later as we're sitting here talking with Codename FLX. Now, one of the questions that I have, and some people don't realize it unless they have somebody in the military, a family member or something like that. There's a totally different language in the military. You don't use normal proper words. Like I would say, I'm getting up to go to the bathroom because I'm back to being a civilian now. You would say, I'm going to the head, and people might look at you like, what? Do you still find yourself doing that when you're at a show and have people look at you? Or I'm going to the canteen to get something, and they look at you like, what is a canteen?
1,000%, especially when you've done it for 13 years like I have, and I'm still signed to serve 5 more years. At this point, I am going to hit the full 20, but absolutely when you're consistently in that world, it's hard to separate the two. It can even be as simple as, somebody tells me, hey, I need you to come do this. Roger, tracking, too easy. Or, just like when I give people time, like I'll talk to normal people and they'll be like, hey, what time is this happening? Oh, 0800. And like, what time is that? Like 8 in the morning. What do you mean? So, yes, sir.
What time do you go to bed? 2200. What?
I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, can you stop with the military time? And I'm like, well, it's kind of who I am. So no.
But they still use military time all over the place, man. I'm using an app right now that uses military time sometimes. You go down, you go past noon, it starts into 13, 14, 15. So I'm glad I got to learn that. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have been lost. I'd be like, a regular civilian who has to learn it. But it's fun to learn. If you don't know military time, go learn it because it is totally fun to learn.
It's 100%. I will never ever in my life go back to not using it. In my opinion, it's the easiest way to tell time.
Right. And you never have a mistake. Like when you say 8:00, you don't have to worry about somebody thinking 8:00 in the morning or 8:00 at night. Huge
Exactly.
difference between 0800 and 1600 4:00, 1800.
2000.
2000. Yeah, there you go. See, I'm getting them all mixed up myself. It's been a while. But yeah, it's got to be fun. I've always wondered that because because I only did 4 years and it didn't take me very long to get back, into civilian talking. Because of course, one, I was angry when I got out, and that, you never want to be angry.
Right.
But yeah, I've always loved being around people in the military and hear them talk the military talk, and people just whip their heads around like, "What are you talking about?" I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay, sounds cool. Right. All right, so we talked about your moves a while ago. Do you have moves named after the military? Like you said, parachuting off the top rope. I love that term. That was cool. Do you have is your finisher a military name?
Yeah. So for context, for those that may not know, I'm an airborne paratrooper. So the unit that I'm currently in is part of the 82nd Airborne Division that conducts airborne operations routinely. And that the simple way to say that is I jump out of planes. Perfectly good airplanes that could easily transport me without
I did it one time in the military and I'll never do it again. Y'all are crazy. I'm just gonna tell you that.
Look, I will tell you, when I got told I was going to airborne school, from the time I got told up until I jumped out the first time, I was absolutely terrified.
I had to do for the Navy. I was in a place where you could land in water if you were coming out of an airplane. If someone were to attack us, you could land in water if you parachuted the wrong way or something happened with your parachute. So I was to put it in layman's terms, I rescued the guys out of the water who ended up in the water, and most of the time, 99.9999, they landed right where they wanted to land.
Right.
But there's always that one time where, the chute doesn't work, the backup doesn't work, and you end up in the water. So, but anyway, for training for that, the guy who was in charge of me was like, you know what? You guys are going to go to this school for 6 weeks, and you're going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane one time. So you know exactly what these guys go through if something goes wrong. And let me tell you, I was praying. I never prayed so hard when they told me, okay, jump. It's time for you to jump. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. It'll definitely make an adult out of you. Cause like I said, and even still to this day, because in airborne school, you have to jump 5 times and land safely in order to graduate. Every single jump, there wasn't one time where, we're standing there waiting for the green light to come on. We're holding our lines that are attached to our parachute. And until that green light comes on, nobody comes out, nobody jumps out. So once the green light comes on, the first guy, he gets a smack on the butt and you hear him say green light, go. And then everybody else, they just walk up, hand their line off, turn and jump out. But literally every single time my legs are shaking, I'm terrified because I'm only thinking of the worst case scenario. And then I'm giving myself a pep talk too. Like, okay, you're jumping out this door. You're going to go out. And then
now let's spin this around. Let's spin this back to wrestling.
Yeah. I was about to tie
First time you came out of the curtain. Very first time you've trained up. You're about to come out of the curtain. It's got to be the same feeling as standing there waiting to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Did you say the prayer? Did you get nervous? What was going on in your head the first time you walked through that curtain?
Very, 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 actually probably the exact same feelings, 100%. The only thing is I'm less likely to die in pro wrestling. But yeah, even still to this day, before a match, I always get nervous because, it's something I'm very passionate about, something that I care about. I want to make sure, I'm attacking my opponent as best I can, trying to get the win. I'm trying to entertain the fans and just trying to make sure that I bring the best version of myself out. So before every match, I am pacing back and forth. I might grunt a couple times. I say a quick prayer to God before I go out. And then just, once I step out of the curtain, I don't have that nervous feeling anymore. Just like as soon as I jump out of the plane, or actually once the green light comes on, my nervousness goes away because I'm just like, all right, we're doing this.
Yeah, your training kicks in at that point.
Yeah, basically.
So Dex Carter wants to know, and Mr. Dex Carter, Mr. Ring Wars Carolina,
Man, sir,
wants to know, what is your dream stipulation match that you would want to participate in? I think he's setting you up. Codename, I'm just telling you, I think the man's trying to set you up with this question.
So I'm just going to set the stage of what my dream match would be with the stipulation, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So from the time that I was a kid up until now, the dream that I daydream of during the day is headlining WrestleMania. The biggest stage under the biggest lights. And personally, I would love to do either an I Quit match or an Iron Man match, because I think it's just a very true test of someone's grit, their determination, because 60 minutes of wrestling, you're really going to find out what you're made of.
And it's got to be against an anti-American foe. It's got to be against a Nikita Koloff type character. I mean, come on, let's just put it out there.
I think I'd definitely get a good lashing if that was the case.
There you go. Thank you very much, Joseph Burns and Dexter Carter, for coming in here and asking some great questions, and everybody else who's been here as we're talking with Codename FLX. Joseph wants to know, with the recent merger, do you foresee wrestlers adding more MMA moves into their performance? Do you add MMA training? Do you have any MMA training in your background? And what do you think of the merger? Okay.
Great question. So with the recent merger, probably, if you look at patterns and trends, which is what I do as an intelligence analyst, anytime there's a new phenomenon like that, there's going to be a going with the flow, so to speak. And so I could definitely see a new trend of wrestlers. Oh, it's merging with UFC. Maybe if I do more UFC things, I'll get noticed. And there's pros and cons to both of those things, right? As far as myself, no, Army combatives is probably the closest to MMA training that I've had. In basic training, I was selected to go into combatives level 1. I haven't done anything since. But to me, especially with pro wrestling and a lot of the moves that we do as far as the amateur background that they have, I think a lot of people don't realize they're not necessarily MMAs per se, but I don't think a lot of people realize the catch wrestling, the amateur wrestling, a lot of those things, if you are coming at someone with aggressive intent and you're trying to take them down, a lot of those moves are actually pretty freaking effective in a fight if you can get them on, because that's one of the things that always made me laugh when people would tell me pro wrestling's fake. And I'm like, if I put you in a cross arm breaker right now, you're probably not going to tell me I'm being fake, So
my daughter, who is 15 now, said that back when she was like 10, when I first started doing #truth. I've been doing this for about 5 years now, a little over 5. And she was like, well, why do you watch this? It's fake. And I said, come here. And I put the full Nelson on her. And it started hurting her right here. And that poor girl. Never asked that question again. I didn't do it to hurt her. I just to prove a point. Okay, is this fake? Do you feel this? Oh, okay, I got you.
She didn't realize the mistake she made.
And then she started watching closer, and now she points out things to me. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. She learns quickly, man. I'm going to get to another sponsor real quick. If you have any questions, I see there's some more comments coming up for Codename FLX. Please put them up on the screen. Comments, questions, anything. That's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. If it's your first time at #truth, we want to get you guys involved in the interview. So Codename is waiting for that. So let's go ahead and do this right quick. NAWA Saturday, April 22nd presents We're the Problem. American Legion Hall, 401 West Main Street Northwest, Lenore, North Carolina. Doors open at 6, bell time at 7. Adults $10. Kids 6 to 12 is $5. These are 3 of the matches that are going to be on that card. Thomas Extreme versus George South. Zay Vega versus Luke Fury. They've had a feud. Their tag teams, well, their tag team partners are going to be handcuffed to the outside while Zay Vega and Luke Fury go at it. And for the NAWA Heavyweight Championship, Big Donnie is going to defend against Myrick Moore. You don't want to miss any of the great action at NAWA. All right, so let's see. We got a few comments, few questions. Let's see. Eric Thornton said hello from West Virginia. How you
Hello,
doing, Mr. Eric? Who had some great wrestlers to put on my comment on Facebook. I saw that, Eric. I appreciate it. Dex Carter said that horrible F word. Yes, horrible word. That's a word that haunts everybody that loves professional wrestling.
Amen.
Joseph said, I thought your dream match would be hair versus hair match with Xander Keys or I Quit match with Fodder. Oh, he's naming names, buddy. Listen to this now.
So the only problem with that, Joseph, is Xander doesn't have any hair. So what's he going to put up? I mean, the sheep that he has in Dubai, maybe the wool. As far as the Psycho Boy Fodder, I wouldn't be against it. I know that's something that would really push myself to the limits, because when you have a talent like Fodder that's blown up the way he has, and I was able to infiltrate, control your narrative through some connections, actually because of Fodder. So Fodder's actually done a lot for me as a friend. Fodder's done a lot for me as a talent, and that would be a match that would push me to my limits, and I would absolutely love to do that.
I was about to say he's a big boy. That's a boy that don't play when he steps through the ropes. So that would be a great match.
There's a reason he's called the Psycho Boy.
Yes, very much so. James Kiefer said hello. Hi, James. Welcome to Hashtag Truth. Long time no see, buddy. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and do this. I have interviewed a few people from Ring Wars Carolina, and I had the great opportunity to interview one Caribbean Tiger a while back. It was a year or so ago. I interviewed him, and I come across a match, you versus Caribbean Tiger, and we're gonna watch this match together if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
I'm gonna keep the volume off because YouTube has a way of hearing noises, and then next thing you know, I got a bunch of red flags going off. So we're gonna watch it in the background with no noise on. Even though the great commentator Jonathan is commentating this match, and I wish you could hear it, but like I said, I don't want a bunch of red flags. But there you are, being the military man you are, shaking hands
At tides of the old Ring of Honor.
Now, Caribbean Tiger's not a small guy himself. He's bigger than you.
Tiger might be Tiger might not have the height advantage, but Tiger has an aggressive, like, I'm gonna fight you. So if you think about how Rey Mysterio never backed down from a challenge, I would give Tiger that same courage, because he's not gonna back down. He's gonna fight anybody he has to go into contact with. Nice. He's got a great amateur background. I think, if I remember correctly, on his dossier, he's wrestled in Puerto Rico, I think Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So he's definitely a well-experienced guy. And that's something, as you can see right here, that is going to take.
He reversed that pretty quick.
Yeah, he did. Been there, done that, got the T-shirt type thing. You know what I mean?
There you go. You reversed it right back. Nice. I love great ring wrestling, man. This is some people would call this boring. I could watch this all day. Here comes another reversal. Oh man, another one. Oh, he kept it. Okay.
I credit a lot of it. I really started picking up better transitions and ring wrestling through when I was training at the Ring of Honor dojo, because you had guys like Will Ferrara and Jonathan Gresham were the coaches. And
nice.
Obviously those two names, that speaks for their resumes by themselves. You know,
right.
I think Jonathan Gresham is one of, if not the best technical wrestlers in the world. So just being able to, you know, be at a practice 3 to 4 times a week with him, obviously you're going to get better because you have to.
Right. Oh, 2 count. A lot of great reversals, a lot of great wrestling. I mean wrestling. Look at this. Another reversal.
It's if I remember this match the way I think I'm remembering it, it was pretty back and forth. Tiger is definitely a formidable opponent. I made sure to hit my sources up and get a lot of good intel on him before, because studying is the name of the game. And if you don't study your opponent, you're definitely not going to want to step in the ropes between them.
Right, and that was one of my questions you stole from me, because I was going to ask, do you get intel from other people? But you stepped right in there and answered it perfectly. James Kiefer wants to know, who would you say was your role model growing up?
Are we talking about wrestling, or are we talking about
wrestling.
overall? Okay. Well, definitely, like I said, Stone Cold, because Stone Cold is the person that made me fall in love with wrestling. So if I'd have never, well, I won't say never, but I know watching him was definitely a big part of that. When I was in high school, I was a huge John Cena fan.
Okay.
Even into college, I was a big John Cena fan, because I just always loved his message about, never give up. And I appreciated his appreciation for the
Hustle,
military.
respect, loyalty,
Yeah,
all things you see in the military.
exactly.
I mean,
And
now I've got to ask, because I know it's a burning question out there for any wrestler, if anybody watches this after the live, I know they're going to ask to themselves, if they weren't able to do it, is there any Sergeant Slaughter in there? I mean, have you ever watched him just to get a few tips?
Yes, 100%. Sergeant Slaughter, God, the names are escaping me. Don Kernoodle and
Yes.
God, what's the other guy's name? I know it. What was his other guy's name? Don Kernoodle, and help me out here, Scott. Oh, well, either way, the two privates that Sergeant Slaughter had with him, I've definitely watched a
Okay,
good
now
amount
I'm on the same page with you.
of their old matches, because who better to study than someone that's already done it the way you want to do it in wrestling. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh,
He got me there.
Oh,
He got me there.
The woolly vet got you right there.
Stop, sit.
Corporal Kirshner.
Corporal, there it is. Yes, there it is. I could not think about it at first. Thank you for pulling that out.
Great hashtag truth. People who know their wrestling, man. I love it. Thank you very much, Joseph. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. Also, Joseph is an avid wrestling fan.
I've noticed he's got some really good questions. I might have to have Joseph on here helping me out on one of my shows. He could be. He's got some really good questions.
I was not letting Tiger suplex me into that.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
He rang your bell, though.
So I think one of the things, too, that's really cool about the Intel world is because you get so used to analyzing things and analyzing people, it does come out into play, because for example, a lot of people watch those, police officer shows, and they'll profile the murderer or something. It's actually a very useful skill that comes into handy when you're trying to study intel on your opponent before the match and kind of get an idea of what they're going to do, how to fight back, what are their weaknesses. And I think towards the end of the match, you're going to see me exploit that a little bit.
We're getting there. A few more minutes.
I said, this one's been a while, so I haven't watched this one in a while. But I also love to watch my own stuff back sometimes, because it's always great to see what mistakes you made, what you could have done better.
I just happened to pick this one because, both of you have been on hashtag truth. I know both of you pretty well. I've watched a lot of your matches, the ones that were on YouTube. I would love to watch more. So I'm trying my hardest to get up to Ring Wars Carolina now that I've got a car back in the driveway there. I'm really wanting to come up there and watch this. Oh, that hurts.
When my arm jerked like that at first, I thought he had freaking dislocated my elbow.
Right?
Oh, that one scared me, because I was in such excruciating pain right there. And thankfully,
now, see, this is one thing I love about Caribbean Tiger, and I'm not downing the wrestlers today, but a lot of hotshot wrestlers would have took something and jumped off the apron and did some wild move to you. He's going at his pace, going really slow. That's Caribbean Tiger. He's going to be slow, methodical. He's going to put you in pain, and you got to find a way to get away from it, and you will shortly. But right now, he's putting it to you.
Yeah, he is. And the only thing I could do here was just try not to let him have that arm. But even still, you can see he's holding on. He's trying to fight back and give it to me. So desperation move here. It took everything in me just to hook his head that way. Ooh.
I love that. I don't know if that's still at Ring Wars Carolina, but the fencing and all that, I love that.
Yeah. Thankfully, we haven't had anybody get launched onto it yet.
Oh man, that would be devastating. But I love that it keeps the fans on their side, the wrestlers on this side, and you get to enjoy everything.
Yep. You get to be right there up close on the action, 100%. That left arm. Ooh.
Now that was a smart thing to do. As a fan, I'm saying, hey, put it back in the ring. You can't win it out there. So,
I remember I had to go to physical therapy for 2 weeks with that arm.
Up and over. Oh.
Yep. And is it coming right here? Up.
Oh, a little bit of acrobatics from the Tiger. That's about as acrobatic as you're going to get from the Tiger right there.
Right. My screen had frozen for a second, so I didn't know what was going on. I thought I lost you.
No, we're good. He did a jump. He kind of jumped over you to do the pin. He kind of hung there for a second because it did glitch, but caught him. Now here's where it gets interesting.
That's where I had to make it happen. Put me in a position.
Oh my goodness. Oh my.
And that, looking back on it now, that was not you see how hard I'm gripping my shoulder. If you watch where I landed on that, I landed right on that arm that he was attacking. That did not feel good.
Oh.
So thankfully nothing serious happened to it, but I could have easily shot myself in the foot right there.
Oh, only a 2 count. He's even holding up the 2. How is he aware after a move like that to know to do that? That's amazing.
Now you're just at that point as a soldier where it's just like the battle's raging, just get something done.
I like that. You stayed on top of him. I mean, he reversed it. He got out of it, but you wanted to stay right on top of him, and he didn't let you do it. A lot of wrestlers will walk around for a few seconds and
that arm.
He's going after that arm.
And it's harder because once
he's slinging you with the arm, and you have to reverse with it. Oh, another. Oh, no. Nice move.
We're just trying
to his arm. Oh, you couldn't quite get his arm.
I kicked. Oh, did you see I barely kicked out?
Barely kicked out.
Boom. And he tried to get the ropes.
He tried to get the rope, but it wasn't in time. 1, 2, 3. Nice.
And that's just, like I said, man, so much damage has been done. You've got one mission, and that's to win. You got to figure out a way to get it done.
That was a good match, sir. I love that. I love that type of wrestling. Me, I'm old school. I'm of the old school variety. I like the high flying stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's a time for it, but man, when you get down to wrestling, and like you said, he took an arm part of yours and tried to eliminate it. He tried to eliminate your arm and didn't quite get it done. And that is great.
Yep, 100%.
Dex Carter says, Scott, you have a personal invite from all of us at RWC. You can sit and watch the show with me. Sir, be careful. I might take you up on that offer.
VIP seating just for you, Scott.
Oh, man, I might take you up on that, Mr. Carter. I surely will. Joseph says Sergeant Slaughter versus Andre and MSG is a really fun match to watch. Bunch of humor spots, but kept the athletic parts in. Have you bumped into a non-military supportive crowd and you won them over? That's a good question.
So at this point, no, there hasn't really been anywhere that I've gone that I got the vibe that the military wasn't welcome. Now, I will say that there are areas where I've gone where maybe they're not a military town, like for example, Fayetteville, Fort Bragg are. But I think deep down, I think everybody has an appreciation because we do know it's the soldiers that fight to keep the peace. You know, when
Right.
things go wrong, whether we agree with it or not, it's our job to keep the
Right.
homeland safe so that we can continue to be free and make the choices that we want to make. So I think everybody at least has that understanding, and nobody is anti-military that I've experienced.
No. There's too many people that love what you do. I've never been at a wrestling show. You might have heard somebody scream something anti-military, but they weren't there for very long. They screamed and walked out because,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? They're on their way out when they did it because they knew better. Oh, Melanie said Mama Playboy had to come show some support.
Mama Playboy, my adopted mother.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, my goodness. Brino Royce said, gentlemen. Now, that would be a match I would love to see. Mr. Brino Royce, he's a tactician in the ring, if you would. He has a big background in like collegiate wrestling and things like that. Going up against you, that would be a great match. I mean, he's got it all. Brino's got it all before he interrupts me and tells me, Scott, that's not all I am. I know, but you know, for the most part, that would be a great match. I would love to see it. All right, Dex. I'm telling you, right there. There's the match I want to see. Codename FLX versus Brino Royce.
I will say, you know, without having further intel from my sources, just looking at his picture, man is very refined and distinguished. He has obviously a championship belt, which you're not going to get if you're not a champion material. And if with a background like that, that's definitely somebody that I want to study up on. And if a promoter somewhere wants to book that match, just know our warrior ethos, Mr. Brino, are I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. So you've got a challenge coming up against you.
Brino, you might have your I Quit match. There you go, man. Brino is a 2-time champion right now. He is the heavyweight champion at American Wrestling League, and he is the Mid-Atlantic champion at Heritage Wrestling Alliance. So
an incredible dossier. Respect to you, sir.
Yes, very. And he's part of one of the best factions in our area, without a doubt, King Enterprises. So I had to throw that out there because I knew he would or somebody else would. Johnny Smith, my good friend. Greetings to you, Flex. Just coming in from work just to make Scott hungry. I am cooking Italian sausage stuff. Oh, I hate you, bro. I'm just gonna tell you,
sounds very fulfilling.
Yeah. You got to go with the brat, not the Italian sausage next time. Go with the brat. The brat. I'm a Wisconsin kid, man. You know, Milwaukee brat. Italian sausages are good, but the brats are the best, man. Brats are the best. Anyway, gotta love it, man. Thank you, John, for showing up. I appreciate it. Brino, everybody else, man. Codename, let me ask you something, man. Is there anybody out there right now in Ring Wars Carolina that you would love to go head-to-head with that you haven't yet?
Well, we've actually already spoken about him, and that would be the Psycho Boy Fodder. Fodder would definitely be my top choice to go against because Fodder
is Fodder still the champion? I have to ask.
So,
so if you're going to go for it, you're going straight to the top. I like that.
Both times that I've held RWC Heavyweight Championship Gold, it literally lasted maybe 5 minutes because my then rival, now tag team partner, Jim Stone, who name dropping should be on this podcast as well, Scott.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
I'll reach out to him. We are currently the tag team champions, but back then when I was under my cover identity as Flex Simmons, we were rivals. Both times that I won the RWC Heavyweight Championship, he literally came out and challenged me, beat me same night. So there's still a desire to hold that championship gold for more than one night. Fodder's the guy that I've got to go through. But I would just say there's a lot of good up-and-coming talent in Ring Wars Carolina. We have one guy named the Titan. Daniel Murphy, and there's many more to mention right now. And just the work those guys are putting in, they're going to be formidable opponents. And I think what better way to give back than to step in the ring and force them to step up, because the better they get, the better the overall company gets.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's what a fan, me personally as a fan, when because I know of Nightstick Eddie Brown. I know what he does. I know how they train out there at Ring Wars Carolina. And everybody who's ever been on this show from Ring Wars Carolina, I will give them props for this, man. Well-trained wrestlers who come on here with a respect for the business, a respect for the men and women that they're fighting with or against, and everything. And I have to say, man, they are an A1 organization in our area, without a doubt.
I'm definitely grateful that I discovered Ring Wars when I first started.
John's got a 3-part question. This is gonna get good. So, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Who brings out the best in you, and who brings out the worst in you?
Man, it's always hard to say, right? Because what you plan now, life is never going to go exactly according to plan. But if you want my ideal scenario, I'm wrestling in the WWE still. I'm a warrant officer for the military, potentially a ranger. Still haven't decided if that's something that I want to do. It's on the cards. But as far as wrestling, like I said, WWE, potentially. No, actually, I think that would be the biggest thing. But I think more specifically in that, because I've always wanted to wrestle for WWE. That's always my end goal. Kind of a very sentimental answer to that. My mother passed away when in 2020. And one of the things was my mom was basically my biggest fan ever. And I feel like I owe it to her to get signed. And that's not just me using her as like an excuse per se, but like literally, like if I could plug my brain into a projector and go through all the memories of the support she gave, as sick as she was, that's selfless love and that's sacrifice, something us soldiers know all too well. And I feel like I need to reward that. And when things are going tough for me, that's actually something that motivates me. So to transition into the next question, I think my mother definitely brings out the best in me, because a lot of things that I do, I think of her. Since she's not going to be here physically to see the things that I accomplish, I want her to be able to look down and just be as proud as she can, smiling down on her baby. Outside of my mother, I think just it's a combination. It's not necessarily one particular person. You know, my civilian employer who I work under is one of my cover identities. We have an amazing team there that pushes me, and I've had a lot of growth as a human being there just this past year alone. The Ring Wars Carolina crew, because we're focused every time we're at training. We're focused anytime we're going to put on a show, and we're going to make sure we bring the best out of each other. And just honestly, two of my closest friends, my best friend LJ, Jim Stone, even though we're not on the same page as a tag team because somebody's got his head up his behind, but doesn't change the fact that he's been my best friend for years and I love him to death. I know I can always count on those guys for full accountability and to push me and hold me accountable to what I say I'm going to do. Now, as far as the worst in me, I've never been asked that before. And so now that you're putting me on the spot right now, can I say the Army?
Yeah, you can. I mean, it makes sense.
I think, no. The only reason I would say the Army, and that would be a semi-serious answer. Scott, I think you know the age-old saying, if it makes sense, we're not going to do it in the military.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But just
I got you.
I get frustrated sometimes because my first 10 years in the military, I watched a lot of bad examples of leadership that I had to suffer from as a specialist in a private first class. And that was one of the worst things because I had a negative attitude at the time. And sometimes to this day, even if they have a higher rank than me, it can be very hard to want to hold my tongue because when I see soldiers being mistreated or decisions made that's affecting the morale of the group or the entirety of the group. And it's just, because I said so. It's like, it's hard for me to get behind that Now,
Right.
obviously, I do it because an essence of a great leader is being able to follow. And I don't want to set that example in front of my guys that, oh, we're going to be insubordinate. So it's just really hard because that brings out the worst in me because I want to.
There's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for that.
Exactly. So that
not
would be
in front of the other men. Pull them to the side. Hey, sir, I've got to talk to you for a minute, or ma'am. Could be a ma'am, so I'm not gonna differentiate there. But if you have you don't want to voice your opinion in front of everybody because one, it's not going to end well for you because you're you're not the senior. You're not the seniority there, and if it's off to the side and he does something, it's just between you two. You know what I'm saying? So it's not gonna. Let's go. Joseph said they also have a respect for the audience in and out of the ring. Do you see yourself as a locker room leader? Props to Titan and Daniel Murphy. Dex must pay well because Titan is well fed.
Okay, that got me. Well, I will say if you've never met Dex Carter, his pockets run pretty deep.
Yeah, they do.
In case nobody knows that about
very good businessman.
Yes. So there's a reason that he was able to buy Ring Wars for the amount that he did.
Right.
As far as am I a locker room leader? I don't necessarily like the answer I'm giving you now versus the person I was years ago. Like I said, when I was going through that tough phase, yeah, I would have taken that to the head more. But now I don't like to look at things as titles. So, for example, with my guys in the military, yes, I'm the sergeant. I am in charge, but I work for them, because if they're set up for success, I am more successful as a leader. And leadership is just simply influence, being able to influence others to do things for you or for the organization that are going to serve the greater good. And so, I mean, I'd like to think others do look at me as a locker room leader, but I just want to continue to set the example because I know if I set the example and I help give back, I hold people accountable. I let people hold me accountable and I do the right thing. I know that it's going to pay off more for me in the end. And that it's going to essentially give me quote unquote leadership because I'll have more influence and you respect the people that are squared away. You respect the people that have the good of the organization out there. But yeah, Daniel Murphy, the Titan's definitely a big boy. If I ever have to face him, that's going to be a tough challenge.
Right, without a doubt. All right, I'm going to get to my last and final couple of sponsors, and then we're going to go ahead and close the show. So if you have any last minute questions, please get them up on the screen. I will definitely ask them before we go off the air. Codename does have to get back to his work and the things that he does, so I'm not going to hold him too much longer. We've already been on for over an hour, and I appreciate your time, sir. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead. See No Evil Wrestling, April 15th, presents Spring Fling. It's a free outdoor show. Bell time's at 12:30 p.m. It's at the Lenore New Vision Church of God. Bring your own chair. Come out and watch some exciting wrestling. There's going to be all kinds of things. There's going to be people selling things, face painters, all kinds of things going on out there. Carnival-like atmosphere. Don't miss that. New Millennium Championship Wrestling, Fight or Flight, April 22nd at the Kings Mountain Armory, 300 Pfeiffer Road, Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Admission $10. Kids 5 and under free. Doors open 6. Bell times at 7. Don't miss New Millennium Championship Wrestling. Also, tomorrow night, #Truth will be there. Heritage Wrestling Alliance presents an over-the-top battle royal leading to a heavyweight championship match. Yes, it's the Bunkhouse. Doors open 6:30, bell time 7:30, 217 Gilkey School Road, Rutherford, North Carolina. Not only do you have the Bunkhouse, but you have a Mid-Atlantic Championship match. Brino Royce defending against Brandon Owens. You have a tag team championship match. Primal Rage is defending their titles against the Boyfriends. The winner of the over-the-top battle royal, the Bunkhouse, will face Mickey Richards for the HWA Heavyweight Championship match the same night, ladies and gentlemen. So there will be an HWA Heavyweight Champion by the end of the night. And just signed yesterday, Loser leaves HWA. It's not only loser leaves, but it's a bull rope match. Braden Marshall versus Brian Thrill. You don't want to miss that. And hashtag truth will be out there. You'll want to come out there and see all the great action at HWA Live. Woo! All right. John has another one. He said, what is your do-over match? The one that could have been better.
Oh, man. I think I don't really have like one specific match, to be 100% honest, because the way I look at wrestling is, the more you do it, the better you get. Obviously I could look
That's
back.
the plan for most wrestlers, Codename. That's the plan for most wrestlers.
I could look back at some matches and say, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I do that anyway, just because that's how you get better, is you have to be able to critique yourself honestly and just say, this wasn't good. I should have done this better. I should have been here sooner, blah, blah, blah. There's none that I really want to do over, but if I had to give you one, and it's not necessarily because anything got screwed up, I actually have a match that was taped for Ring of Honor television under another cover identity that was never aired.
Oh.
So when I say that I would do it over, I would just want it to air. That way, obviously it could be put out there and people could see it. It was, I was under the cover identity of Tex Simmons, the son of a wealthy Texas oil tycoon, back during one of the last tapings before Ring of Honor shut down. And it was myself versus O'Shea Edwards. And I think we had a pretty solid match. O'Shea is a phenomenal athlete, great talent. Definitely hope I get to tie it back up in the ring with him again. But just, it was kind of defeating to just never see the match air. So I would love to do it over again and be able to figure out what to do to have that air.
Oh, man. So, hey, let's start a petition. Let's start something. Let's get that match up on YouTube, man, or something. Let's do this, man. Who do we got to get a hold of to make this thing happen?
I'm going to hit up my sources, see if they can figure it out.
There you go. If you find out, let me know. If I can do anything, get the ball rolling, you just let me know. I would love to do that. Well, Codename Flex, I appreciate you coming on hashtag True, sir. You have an open invitation anytime you ever want to come back and talk. But I have to say, go Navy, beat Army.
Oh, boo.
I had to say it before we left. Yeah.
Of course, you'd save it for the end because you knew if you'd have said it in the beginning, I would have hung up.
Oh, snap. No. You guys, I think you guys whooped our tails this year, didn't you?
It's always a fun time. I honestly, I'm terrible repping it because I haven't kept up with it just because I'm spending so much time doing other things. But it's definitely something that I want to put on my bucket list to actually go to one.
Oh, man, me too. I would love to. Oh, gosh. Don't even get me started on that.
Maybe we should go out there together and have our own chop contest. Every time somebody scores, the other person gets that many chops.
Oh, man. We'd both leave all tore up because it'd probably be another one of those highest scoring games ever.
or knowing one of our lucks, it would be a very one-sided game, and so somebody's in for a bad night.
Yeah, you get 52 chops and I get to be happy. No, I'm just kidding.
Both of you to assume that it would be you.
It's all good, man. But at the end of the day, we back each other up. Don't take this the wrong way, ladies and gentlemen. All military does this. But at the end of the day, if you do anything to my Army buddy over here, I'm going to be right there behind him. So just letting you know that.
Vice versa.
Joseph, last question. Who is the next RWC talent you will interview? I do not know that. Joseph. Right now, I don't have anybody scheduled. But if you want to hook me up, or if you guys want to tell me who you want, send me a personal message, and I will see if I can get them on. I will definitely. Anybody from Ring Wars Carolina.
I'm going to reach out to Jim Stone and tell him he needs to connect with you. Okay.
Without a doubt. I would love it. Without a doubt. Any guys from Ring Wars Carolina, I just bring them on because I've enjoyed everyone. Like I said,
wait, not just guys, but
gals
ladies.
and gals and
we
gals.
I stand corrected. The up and coming Amanda Kiss as well as Audrey Allen, who have a nice little rivalry going on right now. Both great, hardworking talents, great attitudes. Both would be a great addition to the podcast. So I'm going to put it out there to them that, hey, this is something to jump
I would
on.
love that. I would personally love that. That would be great. It's hard. I don't know what it is, and I'm not saying it about all women wrestlers, but a lot of them are in high demand, so it's hard to get them on podcasts. It really
Absolutely.
is because they're in
That's a good
such high
problem to have for
demand.
them, though. It's been great to watch women's wrestling blow up like it has.
Without a doubt. I think I've interviewed in my 5 years, I think I've interviewed 4 or 5 young ladies, and each one of them have gone on to have really good careers. So it's the more women I could have on here, women wrestlers or women referees or women managers or anything of the like. I'm not going to stop right at wrestler. The better it is, man. I'm telling you, the sport needs it. Yeah, absolutely. I said it. The sport needs it.
Absolutely. 100%.
Because some of these guys aren't eye candy. Let me just say that. I'll just put it out there, man.
Sir, you don't have to talk about me like that, okay?
All right, man. Well, man, again, I appreciate you coming on, man, and making this a pleasure. Your dog wasn't bad. Your dog did good. So please give him a treat after the show. He deserves it. He did pretty good.
I will feed Papa Ray really well.
And please come back later on. If you get that match against Fodder, I would love to come back on once it's taped and put up. I would love to come on, win or lose, and go over it with you on the show. That would be amazing to do.
Dex Carter, book it.
Go ahead.
Give me the mission order, Dex Carter.
There you go, man. Get him the paperwork. Send them that shit. Make them sign it. There you go. Let's do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Codename FLX. You don't want to miss him anywhere he wrestles, no matter where it is. You want to be there. If not, just drop and give me 30. And that is the #truth. We'll see you guys next week.
Over and out.